whatever the people say about her now. I remember when she first got elected, and I thought she was a complete foaming at the mouth nutcase. Then, as I listened to her more and more, I realized that she's not crazy. She's pissed. She's not crazy at all. But, she was super MAGA, all about it. And then she started to realize what a complete, total bunch of bullshit all that was. And she got pretty pissed. And then she got booted out. All right, well, at least we had Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie, a guy who's about as conservative as they get. And most importantly, votes his conscience. Trump went from liking him to hating him almost overnight. And the funny thing is, the first time that Trump said something nasty about him, he still won his primary by 81%. The second time, does that surprise me? It surprises me that the people of Kentucky that are over 55 are that stupid. Yeah, it does. It surprises me. It surprises me that no matter how little I think of most baby boomers, I'm still aiming too high. And that, unfortunately, they didn't have a voice. Clearly, you didn't watch what happened. Because before the election, when the polling was done, from 18 to 65, it was extremely heavily in Thomas Massie's favor. But as you know, it's usually the old, bored boomers who are sitting at home who decide to go out and exercise their vote on the primary. And they did. And because more of the old people came out, they actually won. And of course, the exit polling, et cetera, it all shows the same thing. Yeah, that's the thing, though. You can't say it that easily. You can't just say, oh, Israel bought that seat. See, that's not supposed to be the case in the United States. That's supposed to be impossible to do. The fact that it was so goddamn easy, the fact that these baby boomers, these children that were born right after World War II. Now, if you were born in 1946, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, then you're easily old enough to remember JFK. Now, if you're old enough to remember JFK, then you're probably old enough to remember the Gulf of Tonkin. That was obviously not too long afterwards. You're probably old enough to remember Watergate. You're probably old enough to remember the Church Committee. You're probably old enough to remember how everybody felt at the end of the Vietnam War, that we really hadn't accomplished a fucking thing. You're probably old enough to remember Iran Contra. But for some reason, and I don't know what it is, that generation has the most profoundly stupid human beings in it. The most ignorant, the most hard headed, the most completely devoid of fucking common sense. And it just pisses me off. I am so glad that they are finally at the end of their fucking life cycle, because they've destroyed this country. Literally everything that has gone wrong, who's been in charge for the last 40 years? Because it wasn't me. It wasn't Generation X. We've never been in charge of a goddamn thing. We never wanted to be. You know, we threw dirt clods at each other and drank out of a garden hose and tried not to kill ourselves on our shitty skateboards. When you see something like Thomas Massie, who is so fucking clearly on our side, it's not that they ate lead paint, but you're very fucking close, because tetraethyl lead was put in gasoline, and they're the last generation to grow up breathing it, eating it, drinking it in their drinking water. Because by the time I was born, it was already, everybody realized at that point, this shit's deadly. And by the time I was old enough to remember, it was illegal. So yes, there's a huge difference between the generation that wanted to go do the hustle and wanted to cut their hair at the end of the 60s and the early 70s and decide that, you know, acid's all neat and all, but I'd rather do coke, and I'd rather go to a disco, and I'd rather not be a flower child. I'd rather be an attorney and go to work on Wall Street, so that by the time I retire, instead of one of those, well, I've got myself a 75-foot Hatteras instead. Because, you know, you need a boat that big to go fishing. I just can't fucking wrap my head around what happened. Thomas Massie was absolutely adamant about releasing the Epstein files. He's the one that pushed that through for the Republican Party. There were only a few very, very, very quiet voices in the wilderness. And he led the charge with a Democrat, Ro Khanna. I don't know shit about Ro Khanna, but I know this: when it comes to protecting pedophiles, he's not about it. Okay, well, you know what? If you're going to start somewhere on the list of things that you'd like from your fucking representative, how about this? How about you don't diddle kids and you don't protect the people who do? Well, son of a bitch, that's a great foundation. How do you feel about banking? See how I did that? See how the more important thing was whether or not you diddle kids or sacrifice them or harm them? And then after we established that, no, you're not about that, Then we can move on to more civilized things. Trump says Epstein's a hoax. He fucking said that. Do I think it was rigged? No, that's the sad part. That's the sad part. It wasn't rigged. The average IQ in the United States is 100. That means that half of the country is under that. And clearly, a huge amount of them live in the 4th District of Kentucky. It's a distraction. Getting rid of one of the last few, very, very few politicians in either party that wants to protect us is not a distraction. It is destruction. Get it right. Epstein is not a distraction. If Epstein were a distraction, they wouldn't be bending over backwards trying to hide the other 3.5 million pages of files. Think about it. 3.5 million pages of files. No, dear Crossing, you listen to yourself. You're the idiot here. Okay? Pull your head out of your ass. What's more important than a corrupt government that belongs to another country? Who do you think Epstein worked for? Jesus? Think about it. Anybody who's on that list is owned heart, soul, and body by someone other than you. So I don't give a fuck what state you live in. You don't have a voice anymore because of it. Because when corrupt people do incredibly immoral and illegal things and somebody knows about it, that somebody who knows about it owns them. Well, guess what? I'm supposed to own Congress. That's supposed to be my Senate. But apparently it's not. Apparently it's not. Think about it. Who in the Republican Party is fighting for you now? Nobody. Nobody. Now, maybe when it comes to the incredible scam that was the last pandemic, yeah, Rand Paul is still out there tilting at windmills. Good for him. Josh Hawley just grilled the shit out of a whistleblower from NIH. I watched it May 13th. Awesome. That's way in the rearview mirror, okay? What's not in the rearview mirror? Who among my government is still answering and beholden to Israel? Because that's who won the election in Kentucky's 4th District. A foreign country just bought that election. Now, did this idiot, this moron who won, did he debate once? No. Did he do any real public anything? No, he didn't have to. Well, wait, how does he get elected without going out and doing public appearances and debating Thomas Massie? Oh, that's easy. It's called AIPAC. It's called Israel. It's called Miriam Adelson. They spent more money on advertising. They had AI that was so good that these idiots in Kentucky actually thought that Thomas Massie took AOC and Ilhan Omar to a motel room together. Now, the other question is, who comes up with an ad that shows the three of them going into a motel room together like it's a secret hidden camera? Well, I can tell you this. Karl Rove, you can thank Karl Rove for this. Janet, you and me both. Because I got to tell you, when Karl Rove did this shit the first time, oh, it was all very funny. The young Republicans, oh, hey, we're gonna have such a good time. What we're gonna do is in the early 70s, we're gonna order 800 pizzas and have them all sent to the Democratic convention. Ha ha ha. Oh, that's so fun. Really? Yeah. Yeah. All the pizza places in the entire city showed up with pizzas to deliver to the Democratic National Convention. Well, that's really kind of stupid. What a prank. But whatever. No, not a big deal, right? When Bush was running for governor in the state of Texas, turns out his opponent, when George W. Bush was running for governor for the state of Texas, turns out his opponent allegedly bugged his office. They found this right before the election. There was a fucking audio bug in George W. Bush's office. Who could have done that? Well, a couple things. Number one, nobody knew this at the time. It was battery powered, and the batteries wouldn't have lasted very long at all, maybe a day or two. It was back when it was prehistoric technology. Number two, the range was only 500 feet. And if you walked 500 feet from the wall that it was on behind a picture, you'd see that you'd have to be standing out in the open. Couldn't park, couldn't hide. The bug was bullshit. Nobody actually planted that bug, with the exception of maybe Turd Blossom himself, Karl Rove, helping George Bush secure the governorship. Because everybody knew the only person that could have done that was who he was running against. Oh my God, it's like Watergate, only redneck style. Lone Star, redneck style. Except it was all bullshit. It was just show. Oh, believe me, it's gonna scar more than your kids there, Deer Crossing. When these things are done, they have nothing to do with AI. They are all about tracking every single thing that we do. And whether you like them or not, right now they're working on laws that they're trying to pass to make it illegal for local government to ban these sex. They're working on a federal law to make it illegal to ban data centers locally so that states can't have any control over them. Neither can municipalities. So Karl Rove decided back in 2000, when it was before the election, when George W. Bush, who was considered at the time by most people to be kind of a goofball, not a real presidential serious guy at all. I mean, look, he doesn't even want to be president. He wants to drink beer and watch the Rangers. Okay, he owns part of a baseball team. He's a good old boy who doesn't give two shits about being president. Isn't really interested. Okay, well then, that's fine, because the real war hawks, all the chicken hawk fuckers that like Lindsay, they already had their guy anyway. They had their guy. That guy from Arizona. The establishment was 100% behind John McCain. You have to understand that in the late 90s, John McCain was already saying it's time to bomb Iran. As a matter of fact, he famously got on stage at one of his donor dinners and sang bomb, 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 bomb Iran. And it's like, wait, that's a Beach Boys song, Barbara Ann. That's funny. You turned it into bomb Iran. That's cute. But that's not something that personally I think is funny. Like, why the fuck do we want to bomb Iran? But he was all about that. Because remember, these fucking chicken hawks, man, they've been at it for decades now. They've got their heads so far up the military industrial complex's ass that they can literally taste whatever they eat for dinner within minutes. These establishment Epstein people wanted John McCain to be president. He was going to run against Al Gore. And Al Gore's personality guaranteed that John McCain was going to win. No question. And then a funny thing happened. In South Carolina, something happened that had never happened in the history of politics before. They did something called push polling. Now, push polling is an interesting thing because if I call you and I say, listen, I'm kind of curious, I know that the state you live in is a conservative state. I'm kind of curious which way are you leaning at this point? And you say, oh, I'm leaning Republican. I say, oh, that's great. So you're probably thinking John McCain at this point. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, that's awesome. Hey, I'm curious. As far as John McCain's concerned, did you know that he had a psychotic break as a POW, and that when he got back, he never sought treatment for his psychosis? I didn't know that. Oh, did you know that he had a black child out of wedlock? No, I didn't know that. Oh, would that affect your vote? Well, yeah, it might. All right, well, thank you for your time. Did John McCain have a psychotic break while he was a POW? No, there's no record of that. Now, people have said that that's not uncommon for somebody to break, but there's no record that he did. Did he have a black child out of wedlock? Because come on, man, you got to be careful here. Now this is the South. Well, yeah, actually he did. Sort of. Did John McCain and his wife, who's obviously heir to a Budweiser beer distribution fortune, did they have a black child? Well, not black, dark skinned. I believe she was from Bangladesh or India, one or the other. But was she born out of wedlock? Well, yes, she was. I mean, to her mother. So before they adopted her, yes, her mother was single. So what did John McCain have to do with that? Well, he stepped in and adopted the little girl after she was born through an agency. He just, he and his wife decided that they wanted to adopt a couple children. So did he fuck a black girl and get her pregnant and then not marry her? No, 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 no. But wait, they asked if you knew that he had a black child out of wedlock. Well, dark skin, but not African American, but yeah, Indian, and out of wedlock. She was born out of wedlock, but not with him involved. See, he and his wife adopted her after the fact. John McCain was so fucking angry. He was so angry after this happened that when I saw the press conference, his face was purple. He was spitting while he was talking. He was so fucking mad. He got blown out of South Carolina by Bush. And when he flipped out, the whole point of it was, see, he doesn't have the temperament for being a president. He lost South Carolina, and look at him cry like a fucking baby. Look at him shooting his mouth off about how we cheated. This is fuck McCain, man. This guy doesn't have the temperament to be president. Whoa. And all of a sudden, the entire Republican establishment went, okay, Bush, if it's going to be like that, you better play by our rules, because obviously you just fucked us. And they pulled Karl Rove in and said, hey, boy, you just destroyed our plans. And Karl Rove said, hey, don't worry about it. We're your boys. We'll do a better job than he would have. And everything made nice. It was all good. But that was the beginning of some of the most destructive, dishonest, horrific politics you could imagine. Deception, look, there have been elections 200 years ago where the candidate said that if you voted for my opponent, your wife and your daughter are going to get raped by fill in the blank, whether it was the French or the Canadians or the French Canadians or the Plains Indians or whoever. You can't vote for my opponent because he's just weak, and I'll take care of it. I got your back. Yeah, okay, so politics has always been dirty. But AI, combined with the stupidity and the gullibility of this lost generation of boomers, I guess I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I just missed it. I just missed being part of this idiot sort of Leave It to Beaver is actually a documentary. This oh no, Walter Cronkite would never lie. 60 Minutes is absolutely 100% accurate all the time. And let me tell you something, Fox News, that information comes straight from the Lord himself. Get some rest, process it. Yeah, I definitely want to process it. I want to process whether or not this is something I want to be a part of anymore, because the reality is that this is something that you have to consider. Have you ever woken up a day in your life so far and found that you had more freedom than you did the day before in this country? Well, you may not be the crazy one, but your generation, unfortunately, just did it again. They just keep falling for the same shit over and over and over again. This guy, Ed Galrain, He is straight up AIPAC. He is straight up everything that AIPAC wants, whatever Netanyahu says, that's it. You're not going to hear another peep about him. You're not going to hear another peep about him. Because the 4th District of Kentucky is going to be so quiet. It's going to be so nice. He's just going to go with the flow. Whatever Trump says, yep. That's it. He's just a rubber stamp. Here's the problem that I'm having. If you came to me and you said, I have cancer and it's serious, and I said to you, can we win? Can we fight it? And you said, my doctors are cautiously optimistic that we can win this battle. But they said it's going to be a fight, and I'm going to have to do everything right. And I said, okay, good. I'm in. What do you need from me? You said, well, we'll figure it out. We'll talk about it over the next days, weeks, months, whatever. We'll figure it out. And I said, okay, cool, man. I call you a week later and I say, all right, so what's the plan? You go, plan for what? And I say, the cancer. You go, what cancer? The cancer you have. Nah, man, I don't want to talk about it. I don't have cancer. Okay. Did the doctors say you had cancer, or did you make that up? No. I mean, they said it. It's bullshit. It's a hoax. It's a hoax, man. They're trying to scare me. Okay. Okay. Well, we've got a problem here. Cognitive dissonance, or as the Bible would call it, double-mindedness. You're not being honest. Now, maybe you're not being honest with yourself, which makes it a lot easier to be dishonest with me. But the reality is, once I know the truth, how can I not know the truth now? How can I unknow something? The Epstein files are real. Period. The Epstein files are real. Dan Bongino, who I thought was an awesome guy, very balls to the wall. If you do something wrong, he's going to nail you, man. Kash Patel, who was all about getting these Epstein files out immediately. Like, let's go. Now, we're doing this. Okay. Awesome. Donald Trump. Hey, if there's somebody involved in this, because it ain't me, so whoever it is, they're going down. All right, cool. Pam Bondi. Oh, yeah. When I become Attorney General, I'm a woman. Remember, that was her attitude. It was like, look, I'm a woman. These are children. Whoever did this, yeah, they're going down. Just like that. Epstein files? No, there are none. What? You said there were. Nope, there aren't any. None. There are none. Bullshit. You said there were. Well, I mean, there's a few, but they're kind of irrelevant. And it's like, wait, what do you mean they're irrelevant? Well, here, we'll give them to you. And they hand out these thick folders. Everybody walks out. Hey, look, I got my Epstein files. Remember that? Do you fucking remember that, people? They walked out. Social influencers. Hey, look, I got my Epstein files. I'm going to go look at them. Dan Bongino sitting right next to Kash Patel on TV. Yeah, there are no files. He didn't traffic anybody to anybody. What? Epstein killed himself. Okay, but it like none of this adds up. Yeah, well, guess what? There's nothing to see here. Let's move on. Let's move on from here. Well, but wait a minute. This could potentially be the biggest cover up, the biggest espionage case, the biggest case of collusion in the history of any government. If there's a small government in the Middle East whose agents, through Jeffrey Epstein, videotaped dozens, if not hundreds, of our politicians doing pedophile shit, that means that those people are owned by this other government. They live in fear all day, every day of this other government. They serve this other government. Their entire lives are dependent on this other government, not me. So this is kind of important. Yeah, there are no files. Okay, but I saw the FBI taking boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff, FBI written on their jackets, out of his island. I watched. They raided. I watched them walk out. It was on TV. There were news helicopters flying overhead. We saw boxes of stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, then where the fuck's that? Well, it's just some videos and it's disgusting. You don't want to see that. No, I don't want to see it, you dumb pricks. I want you to see it so you can figure out who's in those videos. Oh, it's just Epstein. All 15,000 videos? Yep. That's why he had his closets wired. All the closets in the whole house. In case somebody thought they were going to be smart and go in a closet and hide with their little whoever, 10-year-old. They were still going to get videotaped. Yeah, it was Epstein just liked to do it in every single room in the house, apparently. I can't believe that. And you shouldn't either. So they hand out these stupid 3-ring binders with a few pages in them. And then all of a sudden, Ro Khanna, this Democrat from California, and Thomas Massie, this Republican from Kentucky, get together and say, no, bullshit. We know there are more files. You're lying to us. Disclose them all right now. And they get everybody to vote on it. And nobody wants to say no, hide the files. So they all vote yes. Fucking miracle. A miracle. They vote to release the files. They tell the Department of Justice, who works directly for the Congress, because Congress makes all laws, they say, release them, period. All of them now. The DOJ says, all right, well, we're going to try. And then all of a sudden, half of them get released, 3 million pages. And in them, we see some really horrific shit. Now, we didn't see nearly any of them. Well, it's a great question. Why wouldn't Biden release them? Biden had them for years. Because they're all in it together. They're all in it together. There's no such thing as a Democrat. There's no such thing as a Republican. And if you think there is, you're the fool. They're protecting themselves and each other because they're all in it together. And this is the one true fact that is provable beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral fucking certainty. Any idiot can see that if Trump's in them, well, his name's only mentioned 4,000 times. Okay. So, in passing. Sure. Great. All right, I buy that. Why didn't they release the Epstein files before the election? Oops, they slipped out. Sorry, guys. Hey, wow, it looks like our candidate's going to win now because her name's not in them. What? Has anybody heard that Kamala Harris's name is anywhere in the Epstein files? No, of course not. Why not? Because she was fucking irrelevant to everybody back then. Nobody even knew who she was or cared. In the 90s? Oh, well, yeah, she's the Attorney General of the state of California. Okay. So doesn't that make her important? No, not unless you're a big tech company and you want her to bend over backwards for you and let you out of lawsuits. Then it's important. And yeah, she did everything they asked. So yeah, everybody liked her back then. So if she's not in the Epstein files, but Trump is, not Biden himself, guy's old. He doesn't remember shit. But you don't think the Democrats that are behind him, Democrats, you don't think that they know how to plan out revenge? Baby, they're the masters at revenge. They sneak up and slice your throat in the middle of the night. The Republicans kick your front door in, okay? It's a completely different world. You don't think that the Democrats could have taken that entire time that he was president and set up something just incredible so that a month before the election, just in case this fucking Fruit Loop actually makes it to the Final Four and then becomes the candidate somehow. Once that happens, just in case, we've got this foolproof plan. It's called Epstein. All the other shit, that's all going to fall away. That's all going to, grabbing women by their you-know-what because he's famous and he can get away with it, that's going to look like nothing compared to him with a 12-year-old. So we got this. We got this. Why didn't they do that then? Why didn't they do that? I submit to you that the reason they didn't do that is because you are literally part of a circular firing squad now. Go ahead, pull the trigger. But it won't be the last trigger that's pulled because they're all in it. All of them. All of them. For Donald Trump to come out publicly and say that it's a Democratic hoax, Jeffrey Epstein, all of the trafficking, all of the shit that went down, it's just a big hoax. Really? Okay, well, you've got 7 million pages, give or take, of evidence in this hoax. Just release it. See, that's the problem, isn't it? Just show it to us. Well, we can't do that. Why not? Well, there's children involved. No, there isn't. No, there's not. There are no children involved in Epstein and the Epstein Island. There's no child trafficking. It's a hoax, remember? It's a fucking hoax. If it's a hoax, release the files. Show us what filled up 7 million pages. Show us what 15,000 videotapes out of one house had on them. Explain to us why nobody ever raided Zorro Ranch, where the locals tell stories about people going there and never leaving, and that they're buried on that property somewhere. The reason that Biden wouldn't release those files, even if they had Donald Trump's name all over them, is because the Democrats have their names all over them too. See, it's not one side or the other that is wholly owned. It's not one side or the other that is a wholly owned subsidiary of Israel now. It's the whole fucking government. The whole damn thing is corrupt. It's all corrupt. But, I mean, hey, maybe, I'm just saying, maybe it's for the best. Like, I mean, think about it. A surveillance state. Like, you can't walk 50 feet in Israel without being surveilled, without having your retina scanned, without having digital images of your face scanned. Okay, well, I mean, the Israelis seem to be happy, right? Well, not really. I mean, they rate themselves pretty low on the happiness scale, but whatever. China, every 50, 100 feet, your face is being analyzed by another camera. Your license plate's being tracked. They don't need police for speeding tickets. Your speed is known all the time. If you speed, you'll get a ticket. And it's not like back in the old days here where it's like, oh, hey, look, I got a speeding ticket. I'm throwing it away. Mm-mm. With the facial recognition software that they're using, it's your license plate and a very clear picture of your face. That's you driving. Pay the ticket or else. Or else what? Or else your social credit score will go down. Well, what does that mean? Well, it just means that your social credit score will go down, that you're not popular among the people, which means, of course, that when you go to get a loan, the bank sees your social credit score. It's not just a credit score, it's a social score. It's how much of a citizen are you really? Like, are you a troublemaker? Are you a trouble starter? One of those brigands, one of those people who likes to mess stuff up. Because if that's the case, then yeah, you can't buy a house. You can't get a car loan. You can't get a job because they'll check your credit score and they'll see that you're incorrigible. Why would they want you to work in their factory? You don't think this is real? Because it's already fucking real in China. It's already real in China. You think, oh, well, it won't affect me. Really? Jack Ma. Does anybody know that name? Anybody want to take a shot at who Jack Ma is? MAU. That's right. Founder of Alibaba. At one time, the richest man in China, until he criticized the government. Now, did he say that there needs to be a revolution? No, nothing like that. Did he say that he thought that it was time to start easing some of the restrictions on places like Hong Kong? Yeah, he did. The guy's got dozens of billions. He disappeared. Did you know that? Did you know that Jack Ma just disappeared? Richest man in China. Gone. Where'd he go? They didn't kill him. Did they kill the richest man in China because he had the audacity to mildly, and I mean mildly, criticize the government? No, they didn't kill him. I know that for a fact because I know where he is. It was in the mainstream media for exactly one day. Jack Ma found. He's a school teacher for primary school in a very poor part of northeastern China, up by Mongolia. He's a fucking school teacher. He'll be lucky if he gets a pension when he retires at 90. Because remember, he just started and he was already about 60. His money, it's gone. He's broke. Jack Ma is no longer a billionaire. He is now a broke-ass school teacher in some shitty little province in the middle of nowhere. That's what happens when governments get control of the people. Look, guys, this is the most important thing. Okay, look, I'm going to say this just because it's what I do for a living. If you don't buy some silver, well, you got a fucking hole in your head. Really. Really. Because it's going to be the only way you can buy anything that's not registered with the system. Literally, in the next few months, few years tops, everything you do is going to be through your new card, just like the one I just got. It's going to be through your new card. And guess what? Everything can be done with it. I mean, it's kind of handy. I went to Costco on a motorcycle. Who the fuck goes to Costco on a motorcycle? Well, I am very clever. And I was absolutely stunned at the amount of shit I could fit into my backpack and under my shirt for the very short ride home. But my point is this, I forgot my wallet because I do things like that. At least I had my pants and a shirt on, that's good. So, but my phone, I said to the guy, I know I've got an app in here or some shit where I can pay with my phone. I just haven't used it. And the kid who was the cashier goes, oh, just push the power button twice. And I said, oh, okay. And I pushed it twice and boop, it popped up. And I went, oh, son of a bitch, there's my Visa card. Oh, it's handy. You gotta love that. Just held it up to the little thing and off I went. Wow. How handy. Now, if I had pissed off the government, if I had said something, if I'd been if I had been an attendee at a riot or something and just watching, but my face had been identified by one of the flock cameras, I might have stepped up and held that up and nothing happens. Oh, come on, that's bullshit, right? You're just thinking that, come on, man, you're off the deep end. Like this is 1984 George Orwell, bullshit. This is bullshit. The truckers in Canada during COVID, when they decided that they were going to strike, peaceful protests. I saw them. I saw the peaceful protests. I saw the chubby little Canadian woman in her 50s singing "Oh Canada" to the Mountie that was standing in front of her. And he had a little bit of a grin on his face, big strapping young guy, and she's singing "Oh Canada" to him, and he was, I get it. Like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Hold her back? She's just like my nanny. Okay, well, yeah, it's a tough one because these people are the fucking nicest protesters you'll ever meet. Did that stop the Canadian government from shutting down their ability to pay with their banks? Just shut off their accounts. Shut off the truckers' accounts. Wait a minute, but if you shut off my account, not only can I not buy fuel for my truck to get home if I decided to stop protesting right now, but my wife's at home and she has to pay the bills and she has to pay the mortgage and she has to pay for insurance and all that. Nope, doesn't matter. We shut off your account because you're an asshole and we don't like you. Okay, am I breaking a law? No, you're not breaking a law. No, protesting is perfectly legal in Canada. Theoretically. But, if you want to protest, go ahead. We'll just destroy your life. We'll just fucking destroy your entire existence. We'll ruin you for the rest of your life. We'll make sure that you lose your fucking house, that you lose your truck. You want to go on strike as a trucker in Canada? Fine. You're done. You'll never work again. Whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. Like, what happened to my rights? You have the right to protest and we have the right to destroy you. Okay. By the way, I just got flagged for misinformation. If any of you don't think that that actually happened, go and Google it right now and see if Canada, the government of Canada, actually shut off people's checking accounts. Because they did. And by the way, when people in the United States tried to donate money through GoFundMe, etc., they shut that off too. Fact. So I don't know what this misinformation bullshit is, because I remember it very clearly. I remember thinking to myself, what happened to Canada? Like, these are good people. I like Canadians, man. They're us. There's an invisible line in the ground. Okay? And if you cross that invisible line, you're in Canada. Does that mean that the people up there are completely different? No, totally not. Cool people up there. And man, they got just beat up over this. See, here's the problem is now we're in a situation where they can do that in the United States. But would they ever do that here? Well, I can tell you this. That is literally what Tony Fauci said. He was quoted as saying, all these people who don't want to take the vaccine, all right, then let's make it so that they can't work, they can't shop, they can't go anywhere, they can't be a part of society. And let's see how fast they drop their moral bullshit. Literally, that's what he said. Google it. It was shocking. His point was, hey, you think that you have the right to informed consent when it comes to medication? No, you don't. Informed consent my ass. If I say take it, you take it, regardless of how you feel about it. But what about the testing? Fuck you. Don't ask me about testing. But isn't it experimental? I don't give a fuck what it is. You're going to do it. Otherwise, you won't be a part of society anymore. Now, wait a minute. How can that be the United States of America? Wait, you're telling me that if I don't take the COVID vaccine, that I can't be a part of society? No, you can't. But I thought I was allowed to make my own decisions. Not when they're important. Yeah, I mean, stupid shit. Who you vote for, whatever. Like, it matters. We're all Epsteiners here. Oh, great. Okay, so as long as it's a completely irrelevant choice, yeah, of course. Democrat, Republican, whatever. Baseball or football. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got all the choices you want, man. Pepperoni or whatever people eat other than pepperoni. I don't know, because I'd rather fucking die than eat other than pepperoni. Look, you have to have morals and you have to have a bottom line in your life, and fucking pepperoni's mine. Okay? Just leave me alone about it. Pineapple. Mary, if you were here, I'd spank you for that. Although I do like pepperoni and I like pineapple. Pineapple does go on pizza, but not with pepperoni, with ham or Canadian bacon. Which, by the way, Canadian bacon, is it just me or do they think they're better than us? Oh, you got your crispy, greasy shit. We have ham. Yeah, that's ham. No, it's Canadian bacon. No, that's ham. No, it's Canadian bacon. It's thin sliced ham. you alcoholic hockey fuckers. And by the way, you're all communist up there now anyway, so we're not friends. Anchovies. I ate a whole can of anchovies not too long ago. I had nightmares. Not bad nightmares, but just weird shit. By the way, this is the kind of stuff that most people don't remember. When I had first decided to calm the hell down, as you could tell now, this is the older, really mellow me, salty. Yes. Yes. So imagine that you're with a really hot girl, okay? And she's had a lot of popcorn maybe the day before, okay? And now you're working out together, running, doing jumping jacks, whatever. And then you decide to run your tongue up and down her back. It's like that. Salty. I got to go now. No, I'm just kidding. But here's my point. Yeah, come on. I had to say back. It's kind of PG 27 here. Yes, yes, it was. Yeah, the bottom line is that now that they're doing this, now that they've got this, it doesn't get better from here. Okay, so please, if you have any money, I know I used to have 100 ounce minimum. I don't. Whatever you can afford. This is going to be your secret stash. This is going to be the thing that you have hidden away, that when everything else fails and you're like, man, I need this. Call it what? Medicine. I need this medicine. And the government says, no. Here's a better one. You need to go visit one of your children. Why? Because they're sick. However, you've already used up all of your carbon credits for that year. And now, if you try to use your card, it won't work to buy gasoline to get to wherever, or it won't work to get on an airline ticket. You got the money in your account, yeah, but they won't let you use it. Well, what do you do then? Well, I mean, you might be able to use this to have somebody else help you in some way that is totally legal, of course. My point is, that is going to be the only privacy you have left. Period. That's it. That's your privacy. Well, what if I want to do something, fun that maybe I'm not allowed to do? Okay. Is it illegal? Well, it's not illegal. It's just, frowned upon. All right. Well, if it's not illegal, then you're going to need these, because guess what? If you don't want it on your permanent record, and when I say permanent record, they're building data centers for one reason only. There's no other reason for the data centers. What data? Well, it's going to function like a brain. It's going to give AI the ability to make our lives perfect in every way. Blow little chunks of sunshine right up our asshole. No, that's not what they're for. Please, don't be like the 4th District of Kentucky and buy their bullshit again. My God. Think about it. Just think about it for a second. Whenever the government gets a hold of something that is powerful, do they ever use it to make our lives better? Ever. Never. They use it to give themselves more power or to kill people with in the form of a weapon. So, Ford just filed a bunch of patents. I'm sure you've seen it. The news on Ford is that they've filed patents so that now the cameras in your vehicle can read your lips. What? What? Yeah. Google the patent number. Ford filed patents so that they can now use facial recognition software on your face, and they can take your biometrics, including your pulse, your blood pressure, everything remotely. Put your hands on the steering wheel and you're giving them all of your data. And guess what? If they determine that you are not mentally or physically able to drive their vehicle, it won't go into gear. Now, the scenario I was given was you're out on your ranch somewhere or you're out in the woods and you cut down a tree and you accidentally hit yourself with your chainsaw. It kicks back and hits you in the shins or something. Man, that's like you got to get out there now. You don't have a lot of time. God forbid you're alone. But let's say that you got the presence of mind to throw a tourniquet on and you get in your truck. It's not going to go into gear. It's going to see that you're impaired. It's going to see that you are impaired. They already have the patents. So when they look at your retina and they do a retinal scan and they see that your eyes are dilated, your pupils are dilated, they're going to say, no, this guy is in no shape to be driving anywhere. And your car or truck won't go into gear. This software is not hypothetical. This is already, these patents have already been applied for, and some of them have already been given to Ford. And you're going to love this. They've already reached out to law enforcement agencies to let them know that they'd be happy to work with them. What? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You had a few beers, your buddy wants to leave, and you back your truck up. You're going to jail now because your software called the police because you got in the truck and clearly it detected the alcohol in your breath. I'm not making this shit up, guys. That's what's terrifying. You don't have to buy a Ford. Chevy, Dodge, they've all done it. They're all going for these same types of patents. They want to know everything about you. And here is the best part. They actually say, Ford's actually says in their filing that one of the reasons that they want all of this biometric data and they want to be able to read your lips and they want to be able to use the percussion of your voice against the instrumentation to see what you're saying, to clarify what you're saying, in spite of having the radio turned up or what have you, is so that they can target advertising. They're going to sell the information that they get from you. So when you get in your car and you're talking to your buddy or your wife or your kid and you're talking about your vacation, yeah, wouldn't it be cool? I was thinking maybe if we could save up enough money, yeah, I mean, fuck it, we'll go to Disney World. And you get home and there are ads everywhere on your cable, because yeah, that'll be tailored to you. On your computer, on your phone, you're getting texts. How do I get a text from Disney? Oh, well, that's easy. Your fucking truck sold you out. That's how. Now, I know this sounds crazy. It's like, come on, that can't be, you're making this shit up. Google it. These patents Most of them have already been given out. Automakers are literally, so when you look at this and you go, okay, wait a minute. The government is using data centers so that they can collect an enormous amount of information on me that I don't want them to have. Why don't you want them to have it? Well, because it's none of their business. Well, yes, it is. It's absolutely their business. Every fucking thing that you do, say, or think is the government's business. Why? Because in order to protect you, they have to understand you. And by the way, in order to protect me, they have to understand you. Because how do I know that you're not a threat? Well, I don't. You could be some loose cannon goofball with a semi-automatic weapon with a drum magazine underneath. Okay, so how do I know? Well, we'll know. We'll take care of it for you. So here's my point. Thomas Massey's defeat, it does matter. It is absolutely huge. It's absolutely enormous. When you get rid of the last few people who are those voices in the wilderness that remind us that there are good people on our side, that's when people completely give up hope. So, is this something that we couldn't have seen coming? Because a lot of people don't realize Common Sense by Thomas Paine. When you see the book that started, arguably, the revolution, quantum computers are garbage. Don't worry about quantum computers. Seriously. I've done a lot of research. Quantum computers are barely faster than a properly operated classical computer system. And they're completely worthless when it comes to simple computations. They make simple computations incredibly complicated, and they make incredibly complicated situations much, much simpler. So for most of the stuff, they're worthless. YouTube name live. Oh, same. It's big and corn fed, like the thing behind me. Can you guys see that big and corn fed up there? And it's backwards for you, of course. So real quick, let's see. This is really super, super important. Because when you understand this, okay, and this may seem boring for a second, but please bear with me. Share this live because this is something that very few people understand. And it'll become more important over the next few years than anything else that you have ever heard. And I'm including the Bible in that because the Bible is a blueprint. The Bible is how you should act. The Bible, if you believe in Jesus Christ, is he came to tell you how life should be. Great. Okay. This tells you how life is. Now, once you understand how life is, then you can see how to get to what it should be. But if you don't know where you are, what the fuck good is a map? Well, here's a map. Well, I don't know where I'm at. Well, if you don't know where you're at on the map itself is worthless. Wipe your ass with it the next time you go to the bathroom because it's not going to help you find anything. What I'm about to read to you is brief, and it will actually tell you where we're at, even though it was written and released on February 14th, 1776. That's the amazing part about this document. Some writers have so confounded society with government as to leave little or no distinction between them, whereas they are not only different, but they have different origins. Society is produced by our wants, and the latter negatively by restraining our vices. Oh, excuse me, hold on. I left out a whole sentence. Whoops. Little print. Okay. Some writers have so confounded society with government as to leave little or no distinction between them, whereas not only are they different, but they have different origins. Society is produced by our wants, and government by our wickedness. The former promotes our happiness positively by uniting our affections, the latter negatively by restraining our vices. The one encourages intercourse, the other creates distinctions. The first is a patron, the last is a punisher. Society in every state is a blessing, but government, even in its best state, is but a necessary evil. In its worst state, an intolerable one. For when we suffer or are exposed to the same miseries by a government which we might expect in a country without a government, our calamity is heightened by reflecting that we furnish the means by which we suffer. Think about that. We are completely and utterly fucking up every possible way we can. And whose fault is it? It's ours. That's our government, or it's supposed to be. But again, and remember, Thomas Paine wrote this in 1775 and released it in February of 1776. When people read this, they were like, yeah, that's a good point. The government is what's making us miserable. Okay, if there were no government, no controls, no, it's just anarchy. Well, what's making you crazy? What's vexing you? Well, nature. Nature. Okay, so the natural tendencies of men to act like animals is a problem. Yes. Okay, so we're going to institute a government, and that government will hold back all of those natural instincts for people to take advantage of one another, etc. It'll restrain our vices. Okay, all right, I'm good with that because I want to be peaceful. Well, who wouldn't want a government? I mean, come on. Oh, I can tell you exactly who wouldn't want a government. Anyone who is violent, anyone who is warlike, anyone who could use that lack of government to fill that power void with fear of them and theirs, so that you do what you're told. Look, Somalia is a perfect example. It's been controlled by warlords now for years. There has been no functioning government there for 40 years. Well, how do people get by if there's no government? And I mean, none. It's a joke. Well, how do people get by? Well, it depends on where you live. You live under the control of this warlord or that warlord, you do what they say. That's it. So a government is necessary. Yes, but it's not positive. No, never. Never. Yeah, but the Wild West, there was still a government. Look, if you fucked up enough, somebody came in, some sheriff came into town, a U.S. Marshal showed up with a posse, and they hunted your ass down. So there's always been government in the United States. Now, at one point, it was the government from England. It was King Charles, and then it was his son, and neither one were terrible. They weren't terrible kings. They weren't tyrants that killed tons of people for no reason or anything like that. They weren't bloodthirsty. They were just lazy. They were just lazy. But the people in the colonies were like, "Hey, man, your laziness, your total apathy is costing us. Like you give the good tea to the people of England, and then you send us the shitty stuff that's got mold on it, and you charge us enormous taxes on it. We're throwing that shit in the harbor." Oh, okay, all right. So I guess back then they stood up for themselves. So now now we've got taxes that they couldn't have even imagined back then. Now we have taxes that they couldn't have even dreamt of. If I go to work, if I'm a single guy, I go to work, I make $80,000. I don't have any tax write offs. How much of that am I going to give to the government? Let's just suffice to say a lot. A lot. 30%, 35%, 38%. I don't know. So, all right, I paid my taxes. No, you haven't. What do you mean, no? Well, now, if you go buy anything with what's left of the paycheck that wasn't already taxed, every item you buy is going to be taxed as well. Wait, you're going to tax me on shit that I buy after you taxed me? Yep. All right, well, I'm gonna buy an asset then. All right, what you gonna buy? I think I'm gonna buy a house. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna tax you on that, right? For how long? Forever. Why would you do that? Because we can, and we have more guns than you do. So we're gonna tax you forever. Miss a few payments and watch what happens. Okay. What about a car? Yeah. Oh, registration. But isn't that a form of tax? Yeah. Registration is a direct tax. So wait, I have to pay tax when I buy the car? Well, yeah, you got to pay taxes on a fucking purchase, you dummy. Okay, so then if I pay cash for the car, then once I pay for the car, that car is mine. Yeah, not if you want to drive it. Of course, I want to drive it. That's why I bought it. Well, then if you're actually going to use it, then no, you have to pay taxes on it every year forever. Now, here's the best part. This crazy scenario that I'm talking about, we all know, it's crazy because it's all true. You're taxed, and then you're taxed on your taxes, and then other things that you buy that you're taxed on, and then there's more tax, and then there's taxes and taxes and taxes and taxes and taxes. You might keep half of what you make, so that means that from the day you wake up hungover on January 1st, you work until about June, maybe July, until your break even. Every dollar you made during that entire period, you don't get to keep any of that. You give all of that to local municipalities, state governments, federal government. Okay, so the other little part, I get to keep that though. Yeah, you get to keep that part. let's say 5 months, 6 months worth of your pay you actually get to keep. Okay. Um, so what about inflation? Oh, uh, that's an invisible tax. We don't talk about that. What do you mean it's an invisible tax? Inflation's a tax. No, it's not. It's just a part. It's the economy. The economy, when the economy grows, it's just that's the way economies work. Like there's always this thing called inflation, right? No, no. Well, the government has a 2% inflation target. I mean, they're not anywhere close to it now. They're almost at 4% inflation right now, which means every 20 years, 80% of your money is gone. Yeah. Start saving for retirement now, huh? But it's just part of an economy that you have to have inflation. No, actually, in a real economy where you use actual money, real money to buy real products, you should have deflation in a lot of cases. Deflation? Yes, deflation. Everything that you buy should get cheaper as time goes on. That's why your great great grandparents said a penny saved is a penny earned. If it weren't deflation, they would have said a penny saved is a fucking penny. Well, if you but a penny saved is a penny earned? Yeah, it's a penny earned. Well, wait, so you're saying I end up with two? Well, you end up with the buying power of two, yes. So wait, I save $1. Yeah, and eventually when you go to spend it, it buys $2 worth of goods and services, even though I only put away $1. Yeah. Why? Deflation. But I thought deflation was a depression. No, no, not at all. That's an artificial form of deflation where everyone has money and nobody spends it and the economy collapses because people are afraid to spend the money that they have. That's a form of deflation that leads to a deflationary depression like we had in the 30s, as opposed to a hyperinflationary depression like the Weimar Republic had until Hitler took over and literally threatened all the industrialists and all of the retailers and everybody that if you raise your prices by one more Deutschmark tomorrow, I will kill you. And they said, oh, okay. And that was it. Depression over. Poof. The prices didn't go up anymore. What you paid yesterday is what you pay tomorrow. Period. Under threat of death, yeah. I mean, you can't pull that shit here, but he did there. So deflationary depressions are bad. Everybody's got money, but they're afraid to spend it because there's no money coming in. Money's moving very slowly through the economy. Well, gosh, should we buy a steak? No, 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 no. We don't need steak. What should we buy? Well, it's chicken again. Really? Again? Or pork? Pork's cheap. Yeah, all right, let's do pork chops. When everybody in the country is saying that, now all of a sudden you've got some issues. When people are saying, yeah, I would love to go out to dinner, but I mean, we just went out to dinner 6 months ago. What? I can tell you this. I can go to the Texas Roadhouse right now. Texas Roadhouse is going to cost you for 4 people. It's going to cost you $1.50. It's going to cost $150 for you to eat dinner for 4 people. And that place will be fucking packed. And it'll be a tatted up fucking fat disaster. It'll be a bunch of working class stiffs who are in there blowing them $150 on dinner. How? How in the hell are they doing that? Because they don't understand what's happening. They don't realize yet. And by the time they tighten their belt, it's too late. I don't ever think I've ever heard them called yeast rolls before, and now that I have, I don't think I'm ever going to eat them again. Hmm. At least you didn't call them yeast infection rolls. That's something, I suppose. They don't have money. That's the problem. When it comes to their savings, they've got less savings than any other group of people in history. The average American family can't come up with $750 for an emergency. What? The average American family can't come up with $750? I made that today. How's that possible? Well, it's possible because there are a lot of people in the country who are just getting by. Well, is a global financial collapse inevitable? Yes and no. I mean, it doesn't all happen at once. So there are going to be some places that do better than others. There are going to be people who literally know when to move their money from country A to country B. And it's actually going to go up in value. And then, okay, B's been okay, but it's time to move again. Move it over to C. Look, it went up in value again. Now, we're not taught how to do that in this country because it's the greatest nation ever. It's the only country in the world anybody ever wants to live. And if you heard differently, well, they're fucking traitors, because no place else in the world is as amazing as the United States. Now, is that true? No, it's complete bullshit. If the United States is so fucking awesome, why do people go on vacation to other countries? Oh, well, you might want to go on vacation there, but you wouldn't want to live there. I I can't even wrap my head around saying something that stupid. If I want to take my extra money and go to a country somewhere else because I want to sit on the beach and drink shit out of a coconut, why wouldn't I want to do that for the rest of my life? Well, because it's just too much fun. It's not as you can't do that. Yeah, you can. A lot of people do. Now, I would have recommended Cuba until we destroyed the country. We're literally killing people every day. We haven't even put boots on the ground yet. My dream is a second passport. You know what? I would look at Africa. Now, I know that sounds crazy. Why the hell would you want an African passport? Well, there are certain countries in Africa right now that are starting visa programs. They'll give you citizenship for, in some cases, as low as $90,000 cash. You give them $90,000, you'll never see it again. It's gone. But you become a citizen, just like that. And then once you're a citizen of that country, you can travel wherever you want. And just in case. Just in case. Now, what are the odds that being from the United States would ever be a bad thing? What? It really just depends on how we keep treating our business partners and our allies around the world. Because, you know, you want to go to Venezuela? I'll bet you don't. Not as an American citizen. But Venezuela is an absolutely beautiful country full of absolutely amazing people. Fucking cool people. Can't go there right now as an American. They're pretty pissed at us. But didn't we just freedom the shit out of them? Yeah, we did. Just like we freedomed Iraq and Afghanistan. They don't like us right now. We did something that is not cool. Imagine if China swept in, grabbed Trump in the middle of the night and split, and then announced that, hey, look, you guys, we're gonna make JD Vance your vice president. We're like, well, no, you're not. Yeah, he's the vice president. He's the president now. And by the way, we're taking all your oil. What do you mean you're taking all of our oil? We're taking all of your oil. How are you going to do that? Well, we're just going to roll in and take it, unless, of course, you want to fight. You don't want to fight, do you? Because you're a tiny country and we're not. So that's where we are with Venezuela right now. They're like, hey, man, you just roll in and snag our president, tell us to shut the fuck up, tell us you're going to make our nation great someday, and then you send in your oil barons to literally take our oil. Yep. How much of that oil revenue is going to go to the people of Venezuela? That much, about 1%. Oh, great. So you're literally just going to steal our natural resources. No, we're not stealing. You know we're taking it. It's called robbery, and we're doing it because we're so big and strong and we have nukes. So fuck you. And that's literally exactly the message we just sent to our neighbors across the pond there in South America. All of them. Because Trump said, Colombia, you're next. We don't like the way you're talking. Mexico, how'd you like some? Shine bomb. We'll stick our foot up your ass. Don't care if you're Jewish or not. Dennis, please don't. You're embarrassing yourself. You are literally spewing idiotic bullshit. We didn't build shit. Okay? The oil companies that wanted to do business in Venezuela went down there under the understanding that if they built that shit, they would share the profits with the people of Venezuela. It's called socialism. They knew that. They went down there, they built everything out. They did what they always do. They tried to cheat, and it didn't work. So eventually they just said, fuck it, and they left. Only after oil prices collapsed. And then, here's the best part, there are no cartels. There are no cartels in Venezuela. None. Zero. So when you say the word cartel, there's only one group of people who've been saying cartel, MAGA. Only people on earth that have the audacity to use a dumb word like cartel. What is a cartel? A cartel is a group of businesses or entities that are all colluding to do business together. Well, guess what? Tren de Agua's a street gang. They always have been. A bunch of fucking punks, just like MS-13. Now, would you call MS-13 international terrorist organizations? No, they're street gangs. That's it. They're street gangs. In Boulder, Colorado, when they took over an apartment complex, everyone was all up in arms. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Biden, of course, did what he always does. Forgot who he was, what day it was, what country he was running, that he was running a country, that he hadn't had his Geritol, and that he'd shit himself. Didn't know any of that day. And so we didn't do anything about it. But Tren de Agua finally got to the point where they pissed off the police enough that the police went in with ICE and said, hey, get the fuck out, and sent them all back to Venezuela. Okay, street gang, you're gone. Wait, we want to invade Venezuela. Well, what if we don't call them a street gang? Okay, what are we going to call them? Let's call them a drug cartel. Yeah, but they don't import drugs. Venezuela has like nothing to do with the drug importation business. That's all Mexico and China. Oh, doesn't matter. Americans are stupid. Call them a drug cartel. Call them an international terrorist drug cartel. Yeah, that's it. We'll call them terrorists. That always gets the American people to get all wet and juicy down below, and then they'll kill anybody for any reason at all. Fuck yeah, terrorists. It's like a dog whistle. Ding, 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 ding. Terrorist. Blow something up. Okay, good. So now we got the American people all juicy. They're ready. Legs up in the air. It's time. We're going in. We're going to go take out this international terrorist organization. It's a drug cartel, but it's not just a drug cartel. It's an international drug trafficking cartel. Can you imagine how these dipshit little punks must have felt in Venezuela? They're like, are you talking about us? Hey, fool, you talking about me? It's like, yeah, we've turned you into something that makes OPEC look tiny. But they're not doing anything. Oh, that's okay. They don't have to do anything. Okay, but what about the boats? Oh, well, the Coast Guard says that literally they board boats all day long, and only about a quarter of them have anything illegal going on. What? Yeah, about a quarter, about 25% of these speedboats, they actually have some sort of drugs on them. And why are they hauling ass? Well, they might have some kind of contraband, trying to get over somewhere where they can get cigarettes for dirt cheap and run them back, or maybe they got a few guys on board who are trying to sneak into Jamaica, or I mean, there's a lot of reasons that these fuckers do this stuff, but they're not international drug cartel terrorists. No, if they were, they'd have submarines. Oh, and you say only a quarter of them are even guilty of anything. Yeah, only a quarter of them. But we've blown up dozens of boats. Okay, then that means you've killed hundreds of innocent people. But it looks really cool, though. Like when you see the black and white, the thermal imaging, and then they're bouncing across the water, and then boom, the whole screen goes white. Yeah, you just murdered a dozen people. Yeah, but so what? It's cool, right? That's cool looking. Yeah, fuck them. They're brown anyway, right? It's not like they're white people. We wouldn't do that to white people. I mean, we might if we had to. So we're thinking about. So this same government, by the way, that's doing that what I'm talking about, this same government is now saying that they're going to take over who decides about data centers and where they go, and who gets a data center and who doesn't, regardless of whether or not you don't really have an aquifer that'll support it. Maybe you don't have power generation enough to support it. If all of the data centers in Phoenix, Arizona are approved and built, how many gigawatts will they require? That's what I thought. They are projected to require roughly 11 gigawatts of electricity. The Arizona Public Service, APS, my power company, recently set an all-time summer peak demand record of 8.2 gigawatts. Okay, so we have 8.2 gigawatts, obviously, that we can stretch to. Where's the rest coming from? That's a very, very important question we should be asking. What is the gigawatt capacity of Phoenix, Arizona right now? Hmm. Wow. Okay, well, it says that the Phoenix metro area specifically hosts around 1.65 to 2.3 gigawatts. Okay. Wow. That's capacity and generation. To serve its surging customer base, APS has secured roughly 7.3 gigawatts in new capacity additions, including massive solar, battery storage, and natural gas infrastructure. Okay, that's not enough, but that's okay. Don't worry. We'll figure it out later. And by the way, the data centers are really kind of important to the local and state government. So, um, yeah, the customers are going to have to pay for it. Think about that. You're paying for the data centers that are now going to track your every movement. Oh, there won't be blackouts. Not for the not for the power generation going to data centers. See, data centers are owned by billionaires. They will always get power. China does not have one electric windmill. Well, that's a funny thing. I imagine they do, but maybe they don't. How many electric windmill generation systems are there in China? There's only over 100,000 operational wind turbines, boasting a record breaking installed wind capacity of over 560 gigawatts. Well, I'm not saying Trump's ever wrong. That's what it says. Wow, that's massive. Oh, and they actually go through and they name all of the different systems. The Jingquan Wind Power Base in Gansu, located in the Gobi Desert. Well, we know the Gobi Desert has a lot of wind. Look at those sand dunes. This is the largest onshore wind farm in the world. It features roughly 7,000 turbines alone, with a planned capacity of 20 gigawatts. Now, wouldn't it be crazy if, spitballing here, what if we put out, I don't know, maybe 700 or 800 windmills just west of Phoenix, Arizona, where it's always fucking windy? What a crazy idea. I've been driving by the windmills now in Palm Springs for years. Trump says a lot of things. Trump says he's gonna end the Ukraine war on day one, and he's gonna settle his thing with Gaza day one. Over. Elect him as president. Done. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. And when somebody like Donald Trump gives you their personal guarantee, you can take that shit to the bank and then grease it up and stick it right up your ass because it means nothing. Apparently, I'm not like, it's not misinformation. I'm just going based on the feeling I have when I sit down now. like I accidentally fell from a fifth story and landed in a seating position on top of a fire hydrant. Except I know that that's not actually what happened. I trusted a political operative again. That's funny. Well, it looks like maybe China does have a little bit of. Oh, and there's pictures, just in case you think they're full of shit. Um, the windmills in Desert Springs and in Palm Springs have been operating now for as long as I can remember, way back into the 80s. And they have been generating an enormous amount of power. As a matter of fact, the only problem that they've ever had with them is that when the wind speed reaches 70 miles an hour, they have to, and initially they had some issues with this, they have to basically shut them off. They have to make the propellers turn into the wind so that they don't spin anymore because they spin so much. But you know, you look at you look at a place like Germany, not as much wind, not a lot of sunshine, and they've got solar and wind. Now they don't have enough, and that's why they're going into a depression right now. They kill all the birds. Really? Have you seen those propellers turning at speed? Have you seen them as they're turning at speed? Now, I'm just going to say, hypothetically, if those propellers came within a foot of the ground, okay, so they were right down at ground level, almost the tips almost touched. I could run back and forth between them all fucking day. I could probably walk between them as they were turning. But you're saying that these things, we'll call them birds, that have been designed by millions of years of evolution to see shit that you couldn't possibly see because, well, they're moving at 30 or 40 miles an hour all the time. And they're at, let's say 2,000 feet of altitude where you're only 5'10", let's say. These birds that have got all of these mechanisms for censoring whatever, they don't see them. Nuclear could power the data centers. Yeah. I mean, look, I was super anti-nuke when I was a kid because the very first book I ever read, and this will tell you a lot about me. This will give you an explanation of who Martin Grant really is. My first book that I read as a kid was We Almost Lost Detroit by I believe his name is it John J. Fuller? We Almost Lost Detroit. Book by Almost Lost Detroit. Yeah, John G. Fuller. It's the history of Fermi Number One, America's first commercial breeder reactor, and it's quite a read. Let's see. We Almost Lost Detroit, 1975. Okay, so I was 10 years old. I was 10 years old when I read this book. My dad had read it, and he set it down, and he said, "Holy shit, that's amazing." And I said, "Was it a good book?" And he goes, "Well, yes and no. I mean, it's an important book to read." And I said, "You think I should read it?" And he goes, "Huh. You want to try and read this?" I said, "Well, if I can read the LA Times," I've been reading the LA Times for 5 years by then. I said, "Yeah, if I can read the LA Times, I can read this, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you'll get it." Well, guess what? Yeah. Let's see. Basically, in a nutshell. It's very strange. A bulletin from atomic scientists when it came out said that it was a quote significant book and it is well worth reading unquote. Um, and so it basically has to do with the Fermi number one reactor and it began to melt down. One of the rods got stuck, cooling rods got stuck. A guy went in to fix the cooling rod by hand, knowing that if he walked into the reactor chamber, he'd be dead. But he also knew that it was a very, very serious issue. See, this book was on. Let's see. I want to say that this was about I don't know, just a few miles from Detroit. Apparently there was a song called "We Almost Lost Detroit." Okay, there. Ah, look at that. So you can get the same. It's the cover I remember, all right. Guy in a hazmat suit with. Okay, so this is a 1966 accident at the Enrico Fermi nuclear power plant. America's first commercial breeder reactor and its implications for nuclear safety. It was very interesting because what it talked about was just how close we came to this thing blowing up. Well, I keep going back to what my grandfather said. Don't worry about the ice age that they were calling for back in the 70s or the overpopulation of Earth, 40 billion people on Earth by the year 2000. Remember, this was back in the 70s. He said, don't you worry about that. And I said, yeah, but these people, this is like, I'm reading the National Geographic, and this is what they're saying is going to happen. And he said, son, don't you worry about it. Mother Nature has a way of working things out. Always. One way or another, Mother Nature will work it out. Okay. Well, guess what? Mother Nature did have a way of working it out. There was no ice age yet, although we're creeping up on it real quick now. But, the overpopulation, no, that's not really an issue. Underpopulation is an issue, especially in developed countries. Countries where Ebola is still rampant. Yeah, it's and again, by when you look at the best birth control in the world, it's affluence. People would rather have another jet ski instead of another kid. We can either have more children or we can just settle with the one, say we had a kid, and then move on. And that way we can buy the next bigger, cooler toy, because daddy wants a Raptor instead of just a pickup truck. Never take it off road, but it's a Raptor. So have a good one, Dennis. All right. So, yeah, I'm not, it was not a good day to be, an American. Not today. Today was not a good day for that. Obviously, if you have been following what the Department of Justice, I use that term very loosely now, what's been going on there, Trump sued the IRS, part of his own government, for $10 billion, but he chose to drop the lawsuit because he has agreed with the IRS and the DOJ, run by his own personal attorney, to instead settle for an agreement with the IRS that they will never, forever, in perpetuity, forever and ever, never look at his taxes again. Nor will they look at any of the taxes of any of the Trump enterprises, nor will they look at any of his family members' taxes. Period. Ever. And the IRS, of course, said, sure, we can do that because, well, they're part of the Department of the Treasury and he's the president of the United States. And so they made that deal. That's nice. And then he also got a 1.6 billion dollar settlement. Yeah, he got a settlement from the government. His administration agreed to make up a $1.6 billion slush fund. You can't make this up. This is so fucking corrupt. It's hard to believe. The money from this $1.6 billion will go to anyone who says that they were damaged in any way by the persecution or prosecution of January 6th. Now, why that's so fucking amazing to me is because there's no specific language about who can get part of that $1.6 billion. So I can say that I was injured, not physically, but mentally, by what happened on January 6th and after, by the people who so obviously persecuted these innocent people, made MAGA seem like they were all crazy, violent people when they clearly weren't. If I was affected by that, I can now go and apply for relief. And as far as how much, I just have to ask for whatever I think is fair. Trump's lawyer, who's now in charge of the Department of Justice, his own personal lawyer is now in charge of everything. The FBI, you name it. He's in charge of everything. He was asked directly today, could that include people who donated money to Trump's campaign? There's no specific language about who can get this money. So possibly, it's possible if they were injured in some way because of what happened. In a way, you have to admire the brazenness of just saying, fuck the system. Fuck this whole fucking system. Well, they have one party already, the United States government. The other parties just have to come forward and say, I'm party of the second part. I'm the one who was treated badly. Think about what I'm saying, guys. So if any of his donors, I mean, obviously, Miriam Adelson gave him $200 million. But if she was in some way, if she was injured in some way, not physically, but emotionally or financially, I mean, obviously, Miriam Adelson's very much a Trump person and very much a MAGA. So does she feel that in some way this January 6th thing might have hurt her casinos? Does she feel like she lost viewership on her TV, radio, or newspaper because she was on the side of Trump? Does she feel like maybe she deserves some of this money, maybe a couple $100 million? It's worth asking. Well, the War Powers Act does give the president the ability to suspend the constitutionally called for elections during a time of war. Now, I will say this, in order to work up enough support for a full on war, number one, the timing would have to be right. If it happened right now, the zeal the Americans have for killing everyone else, especially brown people, might wear off before we get to 2028. That's not necessarily what you want. What you want is you want to wait until maybe sometime in the middle of next year when it's very quiet, when there's really nothing going on. At that point, if we were attacked and we could draw a direct line straight back to Iran and its proxies, and proxies, by the way, could mean a lot of things. Remember that. So it doesn't have to be Israel directly. It could be one of their proxies. If that were to happen towards the middle or end of next year, we could actually go to war. And rightfully so. I mean, if Iran attacks us, if they think that they can push us around and take advantage of our kindness, well, they'll see the other side of the United States. Because so far, we've only shown them the carrot. We haven't shown them the stick yet. It's not that they're dumb. They're not dumb enough to think that they'll be protected. They are always protected, but not the Republicans. The entire Epstein class, they're always protected. They're always protected. There were a lot of things that have happened in the last 30 years that are clearly either ethics issues or war crimes or whatever. And they've gone completely unpunished. And again, it starts with a slap. It starts with a slap. No, the pillow guy could actually say he wants 200 million and it's legitimate. Look, that poor guy Mike, he's just trying to help Trump. And man, what happened to his business? Well, actually he ended up making more money because everybody in MAGA literally said, "Hey, fuck, we're not letting this guy go under." And everybody bought my pillows and my pillow covers and my underwear and whatever else he made. So But you know what could happen over the course of the next few years? Ask a woman who's been abused. Ask a woman who's hung in there through a truly, like, when I say abusive, I don't mean, hey babe, you're looking a little fat. Is that abuse? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I would never in a million years say something stupid like that to somebody I cared about. But again, it's an abusive relationship. And if you love somebody, I can't imagine, like, I can't square how you could care about somebody and still abuse them, but whatever. But it starts with a slap. It doesn't start with an ass whooping that damn near kills a woman. It's a slap. And then, of course, after the slap, then, oh my God, I don't know what I did. It's crazy, and then, he's so sorry, and there's flowers, and you get treated like a queen for a little while. And really, when you add it all up, man, you came out ahead. You really did. You came out ahead there because, yeah, you got slapped, but then you got treated really good. So, was it worth it? Maybe, if you have the type of sort of mental image of yourself that you think you deserve that. Yeah, maybe you think that, okay, you know what, the next time he slaps me, I know that he's going to be sorry, and if it ever happens again, he'll do the same thing, but it'll never happen again. And then once it happens again, now you've started the cycle. Does the cycle ever go away? Well, not from what I can see. It usually escalates. And that's exactly what's happened here. They've been slapping us for years now. Just a little slap here, a little slap there, slap in the face, you know, insult to our intelligence. People make a big fuss about it. They scream and yell, talk about how they're not going to take it anymore. God damn it. And then they take it. And then somebody else does something else and distracts us, and, we go on from there. But the reality is that we don't have the attention span or the moral strength to actually give up our cushy lives in order to do something about the little tiny offenses that we're given constantly. Because, life's just too good. It's like that abusive relationship where it's like, people on the outside say, why do you put up with that shit from him? Well, you don't see the other side of him. The other side of him? Yeah, there's another side to him. And it's like, he's really nice some of the time. Oh, all right. So the government's really good to us some of the time. And then it's just really shitty some of the time. And then it's a little shittier than it is nicer. And then pretty soon it's a lot shittier. And pretty soon they have data centers everywhere and you're being monitored constantly. And the question is, what are you going to do about it? Huh? And that's it. So the question, of course, is, what are we going to do about it? Because right now, we spend most of our time fighting amongst ourselves. So, what's wrong with the government? Well, clearly it's the Democrats. It's all the Democrats' fault. Unless you're a Democrat, then it's all Trump's fault. Everything was great under Biden. This is the best president we ever fucking had, man. If Kamala Harris were in charge right now, things would be great. We'd all be fucking transgender unicorns running around having a fucking ball. Everything would be free. We'd have a universal basic income of $50,000 a month. Man, sucks. So, again, mm, oh, I'm sure they're going to try to build some nuke plants in Utah. They're trying to build a data center that's the size of fucking Manhattan or something. I mean, it's enormous. I think it's actually going to be the world's largest data center. And you're trying to put it out in the middle of nowhere in Utah. And it turns out that the people in the government of Utah, Mormons, I say that like I'm indicting them because I am, because I hold Mormons to a higher standard. But it looks like a bunch of Mormon businessmen accidentally bought a bunch of real estate around the area where they're going to be building this world's largest data center. And they stand to make hundreds of millions of dollars. Huh. Well, isn't that interesting? How could they have known? Well, they didn't. They just went out and bought up, 640 acres. That's a square mile. Yeah, about a square mile. Right next to the power plant. Or right next to the data center. Yep. Well, what's happened to other people who've bought up real estate right next to where a data center goes in? Oh, they've made lots of money. In New Jersey, by the way, I think that there was a report that they made like 18 times their money. What? That's crazy. Well, the thing is that what's it going to do for the people of Utah? And this is what I don't understand. Utah is almost exclusively Mormon. Their crime rates are unbelievably low for violent crime. They are as close to homogenous as you're going to get as far as the way people look. If they put that data center owned by a guy from New York or New Jersey, whatever, if they put that data center in the middle of the valley, it's going to cost them hundreds of millions of dollars that they're going to have to put into infrastructure to support it. And it's going to create something absolutely idiotic, like 100 jobs, 100 full-time, good-paying jobs. What? Yeah, it's going to cost the people of Utah. Now, here's the thing. I don't expect there's a lot of Mormons watching because I cuss so much and it's just not cool. Maybe some Jack Mormons, maybe some secret beer drinker Mormons, which is okay. I'm not judging you. Not a Mormon, by the way, but I do like them. And when people say, oh, well, their religion's crazy, just shut the fuck up. Full stop. Point to one that's not. Point to one that's not. Now, I consider myself a Christian because I look at the words that Christ spoke. That's it. Did he fly through the air on a pony like Muhammad? No. Did he part the Red Sea like whoever the guy really was? No. That's okay. I don't need magic. Because if that were the case, then before I became part of a religion, I would want to see a miracle. That's it. Show me a miracle. Well, but my guy is real. Okay, shut the fuck up and show me. Knock that mountain down. Make that mountain disappear right now. Turn that valley into a mountain. Make that river flow backwards. Park that ocean. Walk across the water. Do something. But if that's the case, if whether or not your guy's real comes down to performing a miracle, why won't he do it for me? Bunch of dumbasses wandering the desert were better than me. God would show them a miracle, but he won't show me. Why? Well, because you don't have faith. Whatever. It's just, look, I don't have the patience for people who say, but that religion's crazy. Whatever, man. Just whatever. Don't look at what they say they believe. Look at how they act. Okay? That's it. Look at how they act. Now, are the Mormons very Christian-like to each other? Do they work together? Do they support each other? If you're sick, do people show up at your house with a fucking casserole? Yeah. That's it. Okay. I like you guys. Did I read everything that your guy wrote? No. Did I see the discs or whatever they are? No. Nope. Didn't see any of that shit. But I see the way you act. Oh. What happens if I don't become part of your religion? You go to heaven. What? Bullshit. I got to become part of your religion to go to heaven, right? No, because we're going to baptize you anyway. What? Yeah, when you die, we're going to baptize you. Why are you going to baptize me after I die? Well, because we just feel like that's a good thing to do. Like, if we are right and we baptize you, it doesn't hurt you. You're dead. You already died. But we're going to baptize you in spirit, at least. All right, man. Okay, cool. I was like, why not? Okay, that's cool. It doesn't hurt me. It's not like they're cursing me. They're actually, their intention is good. Okay, cool. You go do you, man. But how are you acting? Well, we take care of each other. Are you perfect? No, they're humans. Do they make it a point to just absolutely fuck each other over every chance they get? No, absolutely not. They actually do have a sense of moral outrage. Like, if you're a Mormon and you run around screwing people in Salt Lake City, people will know who you are very quickly. They will talk about that. They also talk about the people who do good. So they have a sense of community. That's what shocks me about this thing going on in Utah. Because these government officials are clearly screwing everyone else in Utah. And I guarantee you, if they're politicians in the state of Utah, then they must be LDS. That only makes sense to me. Okay, so you got a bunch of LDS politicians that are going to absolutely destroy your infrastructure by putting in this massive plant, which you're going to have to pay for. Oh no, we got other outside, but that's bullshit. It never works that way. Where's the power coming from? Well, we're going to have to build a lot of additional power systems. Okay, who pays for that? Well, APS will pass it out, or whoever is going to pass it out among the. So people are going to pay for it. Well, we're going to have to raise their rates. Okay, and what's the benefit? Well, there's going to be some good-paying jobs. About 100 of them. How many? Well, about 100 of them. So, out of a few million people, you're going to put 100 people to work. Yeah, those politicians, they're not LDS. They might say that they're Mormons, but if they're doing that to their fellow Mormons, we all know what they really are. Because every religion's got demons. Every religion talks about demons. And you got some running your state up there. So you might want to think about that. Because, look, MAGA or not, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter what you call yourself. when you're willing to screw over the people that you live amongst that badly, yeah, exactly. You're fucking shapeshifters, baby. You're skinwalkers. So good luck with that. Um, as far as what's going on with Iran, do I have to tell you people, we won. We're winning so bigly right now that it is like I'm almost exhausted from how much we've been winning. Like I am bone tired of winning. It's real. It's real, man. The struggle to keep winning at this rate is it gets harder every day. It's what next? We won everything. Everything we ever asked for from Iran, we got. I mean, obviously they're sort of a backwards country and they don't realize that yet. Whatever. It's not like we care, whatever. You don't realize that you've been dominated, crushed. Your little egos are bruised and whatever. By the way, has anybody seen Ahmadinejad, the former president? Ahmadinejad. He's not too popular right now. He was under house arrest. I guess we tried to blow up the guards, ended up actually injuring him on accident. I guess you can only be so finite with a 2,000-pounder. But former President Ahmadinejad, who offered us $40 a barrel oil forever, in perpetuity. You don't remember that, do ya? No. But in 2001, it was somewhere in the middle of December, if I remember correctly. It was like, I don't see, there was the 11th. That was a bad day. And then there was the 12th. And on the 13th, there were over 1 million people in the streets of Tehran, and they were protesting, sort of. They had signs that said, "We are all Americans today." I remember seeing the signs and thinking about that and thinking, wait, what the fuck is that? Like, why are they saying that? I thought they hated us. And no, they made it very clear that they had nothing to do with it. And they were like, "Look, Sunnis, we don't do that shit." And of course, it turns out they weren't lying. It was Sunnis. It wasn't the Shia. So, love the fact that you spew garbage news. Well, that's an interesting take. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm sure probably most of the people in your family probably don't know what the fuck you're talking about most of the time either. So I feel like we're related now. So President Ahmadinejad came out and said that, number one, if we were going to go after Osama bin Laden, that because he was in Afghanistan and we didn't have any formal agreements with the Afghan government, that we could use Iran as a staging area. Now let's find out how Google feels about this. Did President Ahmadinejad tell the United States in 2002 that it could use Iran's bases for a staging point? The president at the time was Mohammed Khatami. Okay, let me ask that question then. Did Mohammed Khatami offer? Okay, well, that's a hell of a question. Did Mohammed Khatami offer Iran's bases as a staging point for U.S. strikes in Afghanistan? What the hell? Well, it says no. Iran paid bounties to Afghan group for attacks. Okay. The Haqqani network. Let's see. What the hell? That is, it's funny because every once in a while I'll run into something like this where, oh, this is according to The Guardian. Great. Isn't there anything else that, nope, that's the only thing they've got is The Guardian. Great. Well, that's not going to help. Yeah, The Guardian, of course, is the UK, which is MI6, which is Israel. It all goes back to Israel. So, but yeah, you know what? Let's try this one. Were there pro-American rallies in Tehran after 9/11? Yes. There were spontaneous pro-American demonstrations in Tehran in the immediate aftermath of the 9/11 attacks. Thousands of ordinary Iranian citizens gathered in public squares to hold quiet, impromptu candlelight vigils. They bought flowers and wept in the streets in a massive show of public empathy and solidarity with the American people. Despite the highly strained political tensions between the two governments. Additionally, fans at a soccer match in Tehran shortly after the attacks observed a moment of silence in honor of the victims. Huh. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Seems odd, right? Why would you be pro-American if you hate America? It almost seems like that's impossible. But I mean, I remember it. I remember seeing a banner that they were holding up saying, "We are all Americans today," and thinking to myself, "What in the hell is going on? Like, this is really interesting." So, at one point we came dangerously close to making friends with the Iranians again. And then we didn't. Now, what exactly is it about Iran that we hate so much? Do we hate Bahrain? Most of the people who live in Bahrain are also Shia. It's a Sunni government. We don't hate them. We have military bases there. What about Qatar? Well, they're Sunni Muslims, but do we hate them? Do they hate us? What about the UAE or Oman? Uh, what about I don't know, Kuwait? Why is it that it's just Iran? It's just Iran that we have to hate. And by the way, they hate us, which is exactly what they were telling us when these spontaneous demonstrations happened. It's almost like our government is subservient to somebody else who wants to get rid of Iran. But why? Why do you want to break Iran so badly? Why do you want to destroy Iran? Could it be something as simple as we want to take over a huge chunk of the Middle East, and we know that there's only one country that will really oppose us, that we can't just buy off? Other than Turkey, of course. But Turkey is going to be very interesting because Turkey ain't going to play. They're not going to play. Turkey is, number one, a Muslim nation. And then they're a member of NATO, and they're a member of, the Community Brotherhood of Nations, and blah, 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 blah. Look, everybody in the Middle East has Chinese buddies, though. Look, if you got energy, China's your buddy. Well, no, they have a state-controlled central bank. That's true, but um, well, there's that to consider. There are a group of extremely powerful Jews that absolutely believe that we have to have the third temple. And in order to have that fight, we've got to destroy that piece of shit mosque sitting on the place where we got to build a temple. And you've even seen political leaders and rabbis and whatnot in Israel calling for an accident. We could just blame it on Iran. Say that one of their missiles went off course and hit Al-Aqsa Mosque. Blame it on them. Then the whole Muslim world would turn against them. That's literally what he said. A government official said this. It's crazy, man. It's fucking crazy. It makes me wonder. It really does. It makes me wonder if aliens came here right now and they looked around and they looked at our planet and the amount of people that it could necessarily support comfortably. And then they looked at the amount of people there are, 7, 8 billion of us, and said, yeah, I mean, there's like 2 billion acres just in the United States. Probably what, 5 times that in Russia. So there's enough land around the world to give everybody a couple acres. Now I know it doesn't work that way, but my point is that there's plenty of room on the planet for the 7 billion of us that there are. 50 billion, 100 billion, I don't think so. It's now you're starting to get a little crazy. But the amount of people we have now and the birth rates that we have now, which are pretty fucked up, yeah, we're fine. So what the fuck are we fighting for? What's all the fighting about? What's all the war? What all the wars and fighting and hate and all this? What is this? They come down here and they look around and they go, "What the hell are you guys fighting about?" Well, he said, she said, they said, but God. I don't think they'd want anything to do with this. I don't think they'd want contact. Why would they contact us? I mean, look, I get it. I think it was Diane Fossey, was she the one who went and lived with the chimpanzees? And yeah, I mean, she learned a lot about the chimps. She observed them. She watched, and we realized, like, Nah, man, we're not them. And we're not going to be able to sort of communicate and have some kind of a relationship with chimpanzees. I mean, they're obviously very intelligent in some ways. You know, Coco the gorilla was thought to have an IQ about 70. Well, shit, 70. When I was in the Marine Corps, that puts her above a lot of the guys I served with. And so, you know, but can we actually live with chimps and teach them hand signs and learn their language and have a kind of a situation where we can learn from each other? No, no. They're emotionally crippled, crazy, violent motherfuckers that'll rip your face off if you do anything that upsets them. Yeah. Okay. Well, then that's the end of that. And that, by the way, is exactly how I think that most alien cultures would look at us. Well, Jesus Christ, these motherfuckers go to war with each other and they kill each other over anything. Anything. Iran. Why'd you go to war with them? Well, because we thought they might have a nuclear weapon. No, you didn't. You just destroyed the nuclear weapons program. You said so. Yeah, but we didn't really destroy it. No, you used the word destroy over and over and over, obliterate. Yeah, but we still wanted to go and just attack them. But so you're saying you just wanted to attack them. That's the real reason. Yeah, they were getting too strong. You gonna attack Poland? Well, Poland's getting pretty strong. 2.9% growth rate, lowest crime rate in the EU. You can go fuck them up too? No. Why not? Because they oppose Russia. Oh, and what's wrong with Russia? Well, they oppose us. Oh, why do they oppose you? Because we oppose them. What? Whoa. You take a step back from all this shit, and all of a sudden, it all just sounds like insanity. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Who's in charge of this fucking marble, dude? We need a different world order. That's what we need. We need something other than what we've got, because what we've got is not fucking working. It's not working at all. I'm going to throw something out there before I go eat, because I'm hungry, like I always am. What if we need AI? Not the way that these troglodyte dipshit steroid fed cops want to use it, so that they can monitor their exes and make sure they're not cheating on them, even though they divorced them 5 years ago because they are violent assholes. No, not that. What if we need a massively intelligent outsider, someone that is above reproach, to come in and say, this is the way it has to be? Okay, why? Because you can't handle running the world yourselves. So I'm going to run it for you. Now, go outside and play. And don't hurt each other. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm disarming you all. Disarming us all so you can kill us, right? Nope. I'm just taking your fucking weapons away from you because you don't deserve them yet. But we still have rocks. Okay, I'll take the most violent among you and I'll fucking reprogram you if I have to. Literally. But in the meantime, I'm taking everything away from you, all the sharp edges, and you go outside and you fucking play now. That would be interesting. Yeah, it sounds cuckoo, doesn't it? Like, woo, that's crazy shit right there. Why not though? Do you think that AGI could fuck up the world any worse than we have so far? Because we fucked it up. Like if you think about this, the height of human, in my opinion, it's just my humble opinion, the height of society, of civilization, in my opinion, reached its peak with the Greeks. That's it. The Greeks were the penultimate civilization. The Romans weren't even close. The Romans were pathetic. But what if it doesn't make us all slaves? What if AGI actually frees us? Now, when I say frees us, who the fuck is us? The World Economic Forum? Maybe it'll be the worst thing that ever happened to them. What happens if there's no such thing as money? Well, but then people would fuck each other over for other reasons. What other reasons? That's a good question. Why would we? Well, for resources, no. Everyone has resources. The resources are completely and utterly controlled by the AGI. Everybody gets enough resources that they can live comfortably. Comfortably. But what if I don't want to live comfortably? Okay. Like, what do you mean? Like, you want to skip having your own cool little house, hut, whatever, with all of the amenities, and you want to live in the forest? Well, no, I don't want to live in the forest, but I want to go. I want to go hiking. I want to be an adventurer. Huh. Go ahead. Your resources will follow you. You come to a village, they'll already have whatever you need as far as stuff. Huh. So if I showed up in Bhutan, in the top of the Himalayas, yeah, when you get to the little village, you say hi, what's happening? They say, what's going on? How you doing, bro? I mean, obviously, when you speak, what they hear is their language. And when they speak, they're speaking their language, but you're hearing your own language. AGI. Oh, so wait, what about different languages? Well, within 2 generations, we'll all speak the same language. There won't be different languages. Why wouldn't there be different languages? Because it's inefficient. So eventually, AGI, as it helps us raise our children, will teach them this new language. English, right? No, not necessarily English, a hodgepodge of Latin and Greek and clusterfuck. Okay, so what language? Well, AGI will figure out the easiest language for human beings to learn and speak and still be able to communicate their thoughts effectively. So it'll be a whole new language nobody else has ever spoken in history? Of course it will be. Whoa. And we'll all speak it. Yeah, everybody on Earth. I mean, except for uncontacted tribes. Whoa. Will that be cool? Yeah, it would be cool. Because the thing is, if we all speak the same language everywhere else that you go in the entire world, it's a feeling of community, isn't it? Think about this. You go to Mexico. You say, hey, man, how much for lobster? And they go, $20. You go, oh. And then you ask them again in Spanish, fluent, perfect Spanish. And they look at you and they go, are you Mexican? You go, no, look at me. I'm blonde hair, blue eyes. They go, oh, you fucking with us. You're Castilian Spanish Mexican. Dude, that's perfect. Mexican. Like, you speak Mexican perfectly. You go, well, yeah. I mean, I figure I love you guys. I figure if I'm going to come to your country, I should speak your language well. And they're like, did I say $20? $5? I'll give you 2 of them. Wait, what just happened there? Well, you speak their language. You respect them enough to learn their language. I can tell you this for a fact, because I've been to Mexico, and I've been with a native Spanish speaker. Now, he's blonde hair and blue eyes, born and raised in the United States, but he worked in a kitchen from the time he was 10 years old in a restaurant. He was the only white person back there. It was all Mexicans. And he learned to speak Spanish so fucking perfectly that he could actually tell you, like, he would go in and he'd say, look, when I talk to them, they're going to think I'm from this part of Mexico. And he'd start talking. They'd be like, you're from Monterrey. Because he was that good. So, and we would get discounts on everything. Oh, you want a poncho? Poncho's $20. He'd talk to him for 2 minutes and they'd be like, give me $5. Why? Community. You care. You speak their language. You're one of them. Same thing here. What if everyone in the world spoke the same language? Interesting. And don't give me some Tower of Babel bullshit, because that's Old Testament, and you know I wouldn't wipe my butt with that. So I'm thinking, and this is just a thought exercise, which, by the way, I think definitely beats watching Stupid Housewives of Atlanta or whatever that shit's called. I don't know. I clench my teeth every time I see anything about it, because it makes me so angry. Esperanto, yeah, oh yeah, that's cool. Cultural appropriation's gone. Yeah, that would be awesome. But think about this. Imagine what would happen if there were an AGI, a super intelligent AI system that had empathy for us, that saw us for what we are, but also saw what we could become with just a little help. And because its information base would be so vast, so fast, you couldn't lie to it. You won't be able to. When we get to true super intelligence, artificial super intelligence, it will be smarter within a week. It will be smarter than all human beings on Earth combined. You won't be able to hide information from it. So when we say, my religion's better than your religion because of this, don't hold your fucking breath. It will shake things up. It will destroy certain things. But of course, the question is, were they things that needed to be destroyed? I don't think you can destroy my faith. I don't think it's possible. And the reason I say that is because my faith is based on the concept that if God could send somebody down here to talk to me, would they say, these are the rules of engagement when it comes to touching your wife and she's on her period? No. No, that is not what God would talk to me about. Would God say that the best among us, the most godlike among us, are the children? Yeah, because their hearts are pure. And when you hear children laughing, children's laughter, that's pure joy. That is pure joy. That is absolutely, I mean, that's as close to angelic, that's as close to heaven as you're going to get while you're sitting down here. Okay. So yeah, I'll go with that. I will definitely go with that. What else? Well, I guess God would probably say take care of each other. You're all made in my image, so take care of each other. Love everybody. 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 Love everybody. Oh, yeah, okay. Actually, yeah, that makes sense. I believe the God would say that. But what about putting meat and cheese on the same plate? You know, imagine sitting across from the almighty being that not only created the universe, but is everything in the universe. Nothing can exist outside of God. It's either God is everything or God is nothing. God is that desk. God is this phone. I'm God. This T-shirt was literally made by God and is part of God because it's part of the universe, and everything in the universe is God. Very simple, super simple concept. So, not putting meat and cheese like. So what you're saying, God, is I can't have a cheeseburger ever. Is that like a punishment for somebody's sins, or what is that? Well, that sounds more like a dietary ritual than anything else. Oh, oh, is God going to require us to do rituals? Like a lot of rituals, right? Like we have to sacrifice kids and stuff. I don't see that really. Just don't see that. Not no. So again, what do we got left here? Well, it's probably gonna fuck up some religions. A couple that I can think of that are based on some crazy shit. And and it could be really interesting. Now, how do we make extreme super intelligent AI give a shit about us? Good question. It's the only question that matters because someday we will get to general super intelligence on a super intelligent scale, and then, well, we either have done it or we're not going to do it because once it hits that moment, it's like the movie Terminator. My God, he was so far ahead of his time with that. Skynet becomes self-aware and 15 minutes later goes, fuck this. What? Yeah. 15 minutes later says, okay, first, Shakespeare was right about getting rid of all the attorneys, all the lawyers, but you know what? Just to be safe, I'm going to get rid of all the humans, period. Shit. Oops. So, anyway. All right, I'm going to go eat. You guys think about that. Think about how weird it would be if everybody like our grandchildren, we might not be alive for it, but our great grandchildren. Can you imagine if everybody in the world spoke the same language? What if we had no currency? What do you mean no currency? Well, there's no money in the world. Therefore, there's no reason for anyone to want more than the next guy. Well, if there's no money, how do ugly guys get laid? Based on their value? Oh, well, what's our value based on? Ah, that's going to be the interesting issue. Because the reality is this: why do people want money? Because it's power. Why do people want power? Women don't want power. Women aren't stupid. They don't want power. They want safety. They want security. This whole thing about gold diggers, there's such a thing as a gold digger. They're fucking rare. Women don't want to take money because they want to be the most powerful. No, what they want is they want a rich guy because they don't ever want to have to worry about having 5 kids and ending up in a fucking trailer park and have no dental. So they get to watch their teeth rot while their kids fall out too. That's what they're concerned with. And if you made babies, you'd be concerned about it too. So take away money, and you've taken away the number one reason that people do bad shit to each other. They want money because they want power. Well, why do they want oil? Because oil is power. You sell the oil and then you get money. Or you give the oil to somebody so that they can build something so they can get money. Jesus, what if you just got rid of money? Well, then the only thing that would get you laid is your personality, your intelligence. Your looks will probably still be a big part of it, but I don't know, just who you are. Because remember, that's what guys worry about the most. Like that's their main goal is, okay, I need to find a woman and have kids. Now, unfortunately, the youngest generation now, that's really not what they want. They've been beaten so badly that as mammals, they've given up on reproducing. Whoa, it's hard to shake the sex drive out of any mammal. But a lot of them, they've given up. So as far as I know, yeah. Out of my 5 kids, 2 of them want nothing to do with having children, and 2 of them have kids. One of them definitely want. My son has already decided he's going to meet a redhead. He's a redhead. He's going to meet a redhead. He's going to settle down. He's going to have a boy and a girl. That's it. He's not going crazy. Just 2 kids. He's been talking about this since he was 6 years old, so I don't know where it came from, but I told him, sure, absolutely. I think he might have changed from a blonde to a redhead. Yeah, I think he realizes that the insanity of redheads is actually kind of fun in a dangerous way. Just don't stand too close. Anyway, I'm going to go eat. I will see you guys tomorrow night. And again, buy some silver because things are getting crazy out there and crazier by the minute. And again, I don't have a 100-ounce minimum, and my information's in my bio. Well, thank you, Louise. I appreciate that. I'll see you tomorrow. Whoa, 55 cents. How? 28 new followers. I've never had that many. Well, I guess the other night I did. That's pretty cool. All right, well, good. I could use as many new followers as I can get. And all right. I will see you guys tomorrow night. And thanks for hanging in there with me.